This is Kits and Wagers. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Chris Owen. We're talking Game Week 22 in the Premier League. We're back after a nice little break. There's FA Cup. Chris, did you catch the Liverpool Brighton FA Cup match? Was that Sunday?
Yeah, it was it was Sunday. I actually did not catch that game. It was at 5:30 local for me. I also had a pretty bad feeling about it, and luckily, and then so I did wake up to catch the last whatever it was, maybe 70th minute. It was tied up. I was like, maybe I'll pop it on. I was like, but I was in bed, so I didn't, just out of respect for my bunk mate. Um, but yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna keep this game off so she doesn't get pissed off at me. And then yeah, luckily they lost. I didn't, because they lost. So yeah, I did not watch the game.
Were Liverpool actually favored in that?
I don't know. It was away, but I don't know. I didn't ever look at the odds for it.
I remember we talked about the one in league play where it's like there's disrespect on Brighton here. I think Liverpool were still like minus 110 or something to win at Brighton. I think that was a 3-0 result or whatever it was, and we're just like, these odds are incorrect. But now we're back in the Premier League. So since we talked, there's been a lot of transfers. I think almost every team but Everton has transferred, and Everton transferred in a new manager. So there's that. We're not talking about Everton, though. Unfortunately, no. Sean Dyche is back in the Premier League. We're not talking about them, though. But yeah, every team, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, Brentford, Southampton, Newcastle, West Ham, Tottenham, Man City, all these teams have made some kind of transfer in the past few days. Let's just get into it here with this first one. So Brentford, Southampton. Actually, while we're at it, we got our records pulled up. Chris, 2 games above 500. I'm sitting at 36 and 18. Most importantly, our team parlay has hit 4 straight. As you'll see later in the show, we're up more than $600 on the team parlay. And here's the records. You can find these hidden somewhere on the website, but so this first match we're getting into, Brentford home against Southampton, and we do.
I want to note Adam's record, 36 and 18. That's impressive. It's been good all year. The guy's been on a collective heater, so good for him. And I've been a little bit below 500 all season, so somehow clawed my way back to 2 over 500, and we're just going to keep it going here. There's been a fair bit of success last maybe month and a half on this podcast. So I
think for you, 2 of the last 3 weeks, I think I've had losing weeks.
Okay, well.
So you can imagine what my record used to be. So
the body of work for Adam there, and somehow I've just been throwing darts out of board, and they've been hitting stuff. So
yeah, I want to say I was like 33 and 13, which is 20 games above 500 there. So
so don't listen to Adam this week. Whatever.
Oh no, you're gonna want to listen to me. I changed up my strategy. I said this was Kits and Wagers, but it's Corners and Wagers, and I hope you're ready for the bets that I got for this show. So this first game though, Saturday, I think it's in the usual 10 a.m. Eastern slot. We got Brentford home against Southampton. Brentford minus 115 to win. Southampton plus 320 draw. Plus 265, over 2.5 goals, plus 100, under 2.5 goals, minus 120. So there's a few transfers. I don't think there's going to be a ton of changes for these teams. I believe Brentford had the full 2 weeks off. Southampton just played on Tuesday in the EFL Carabao Cup. They lost that one, but Brentford, I think they had the full 2 weeks off because they lost the previous FA Cup match. I'm just doing all this based off of memory here, but I don't think we're going to see new players for either of these teams. Carlos Alcaraz was already on their team 2 weeks ago. I think he'll be in there. We'll see. Southampton are still figuring out their formation under Nathan Jones. Brentford have kind of favored 3 center backs, kind of a thing in recent matches. But all right. So with that said, Brentford at home. We're taking that route. That seems like a good route of the past. I don't know, this season, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. That's where my head is at. I'm going to keep it really simple this week and just go Brentford money line. Last night when I looked, it was, what did I put down? -110 Brentford money line. I think you mentioned that it's gone up to -115 or gone down, depending on how you're looking at it. But yeah, for mostly a couple of reasons here. Brentford just a better side. Southampton are coming off kind of a little bit of a gut wrenching week, I guess. They dropped out of the League Cup. They had made the semis. They dropped out. It was 2-1 against Southampton. I believe that was Tuesday. So that they were on a rare feat for Southampton, competing on two different fronts there. So I think they're coming off kind of a tough week there in terms of matches played, and they have been struggling in the Premier League. And when you look at Brentford's home form, let's see, they've been one of the better sides from let's see. So their top 6 side at home. Of their 30 points, 19 have been gained at home. Meanwhile, Southampton not particularly good. They're not great away from home, but they're definitely a little bit worse off. I'm sorry, they've actually gained a few more points away, but they're still a bottom tier side away. So I just think that Brentford, given that they're much better at home than they are away, and they're straight up a better team, I'm just gonna go with them money line and keep it pretty simple here.
Yeah, there's a time where recent matches, this was a couple weeks ago when Southampton, they beat Manchester City in a weird match that I don't think anyone can kind of explain at this point after how Southampton kind of looked against Newcastle in the semifinals of the EFL Cup. But they had those 3 straight wins. Crystal Palace, they won 2-1. That one, it seemed kind of fluky. Then they beat Manchester City, and then they beat Everton, and we know about Everton. So they have these weird results where if you look at the underlying numbers, it seems like they're kind of being outplayed, and then they just find the goals somehow. They're just kind of hard to project because you also don't know how they're going to line up. Nathan Jones kind of changes up his formation every match. He's moving Ward-Prowse into more of an attacking role. That kind of changed against Newcastle after they went down a goal early midweek, but I believe Southampton have played 3 matches since the last time Brentford had played. So I think that's pretty relevant here. I mean, we'll see what the rotation looks like, but I'm taking a corner bet here. And as I said, corners and wagers. And Brentford in home matches, they usually come out attacking, and they haven't played in a couple weeks. So there's another motivation factor. It's like, okay, we've been off. We've been watching all these other teams play in the FA Cup, so maybe they're kind of ticked off because they want to be in the FA Cup kind of a thing. And then you throw in Southampton, who seem like they're outplayed in every match, even if they steal 3 points here and there. But only in the first half. You just need Brentford to have more corners in Southampton, and it's -120. I think this one's pretty easy. I may consider parlaying it with the money line kind of a thing. I just think Brentford are going to be on the attack early, and they're going to get corners. Wouldn't be surprised if it was like Brentford 5 corners to 1 corner in the first half or something.
Nice, good to see corners and wagers back here. Keeping the lifeline, the lifeblood of this podcast going.
Lifeblood,
lifeblood, yeah. And in some cases, it is a lifeline. But yeah, Brentford have the 2 weeks off, and Southampton playing 3 games in that 2 weeks is definitely a factor. I'm interested. It doesn't look like there's too many. Southampton dealing with a couple more injuries. A couple guys questionable that would Genepo and Armstrong, who would maybe potentially play a role, but no one big like James Ward-Prowse or any of their studs.
Yeah, I mean, I will say like Alcaraz and Lavia, 2 central midfielders that seem like pretty good options. I think that's eventually going to help them, but and I know they added some attackers as well, Sulemana and Onuachu, but I mean, like, are these guys better than the Adozis and Sekou Maras that they already added over the summer? Like, how much are these guys going to help? It just seems like they're adding depth of guys kind of playing on the same level, I'll say. But it kind of feels like the odds are like this has already moved from -110 to -115. I wouldn't be surprised if it kept moving in Brentford's favor just because it seems kind of off. Like Southampton are bottom of the table. And Brentford have been playing pretty well since the break. I wouldn't be surprised if this was like -130 just because Brentford, it seems like they're going to continue to get money. That's it. That's at least what I'm thinking here.
Yeah, that's interesting. This match also pretty one of the lower implied totals of like 2.72. So not a ton of goals, but not like another game we're going to talk about. So shouldn't be. I feel like Southampton, they're gonna buy for £1 and sell for £5. Like that's for some of the players they're bringing in. So they're
Yeah.
not really game breakers, but they might develop them. And they might just get a little more playing time.
Yeah, you can see. Also of note, Kyle Walker Peters actually picked up some kind of hamstring issue midweek, so there's a chance he doesn't start. So if that happens, then there's another question there on their back line, and when he's not in there, things definitely do change for him. But of the line movement here, we can see Southampton used to be plus 285, and now they're plus 320 to win. But the Brentford money line hasn't actually moved, so for some
Yeah.
reason Southampton are becoming bigger underdogs, but the money line, the -115, -110 range really hasn't moved. So that's pretty interesting there. All right. So the next match we got Newcastle, another team that has had a bunch of matches because Newcastle played Southampton in the EFL Cup. Newcastle are at home against West Ham. Uh, of note, Bruno Guimaraes suspended for 3 matches, kind of a dumb red card. Newcastle were already up, I think, 2 or 3 goals in that tie in the EFL Cup, and then he got the red card. So he's going to be out in this one. We'll see how they line up. Newcastle are -155 to beat West Ham. West Ham plus 475, plus 285 on the draw. And then for the over/under, we got over 2.5 goals plus 110, under 2.5 goals -135. So Newcastle famously, they don't like to switch up their lineup. They did add Eddie Howe doesn't like to rotate much. They added Anthony Gordon, probably one of the bigger ones in the Premier League, moved on from Everton. Um, I don't think he's going to be an option to start. We'll see. I mean, he could technically start on the left wing over like a St. Maximin, and then Joel Linton moves into the midfield kind of a thing. We'll see. But what are your thoughts on this match? Newcastle at home has been pretty consistent, pretty good, pretty dominant. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, first impression here is Newcastle playing at home where they've been one of the better teams in the Premier League. I think they've been, let's see, at home, they've gained the third most points tied for third with Manchester United, just below City and Arsenal. So, I mean, they've been just like a machine at home in terms of gathering points. Meanwhile, you look over at West Ham, who are really struggling all season. They've got 5 points from 10 matches away from home. So, that you look at that and you're like, man, it seems like Newcastle's a pretty safe bet. What the money line is, what they're -145. So a little bit out of our range in terms of what we would bet on money line. But if you're into that, Newcastle seems like a pretty good bet at there. But other than that, kind of looking back at some of the past few matches, there's been a lot of goals between these two teams, at least in the past 2 seasons. I mean, the most recent one was 1-1, but then it was 4-2, 3-2, 2-0, 2-2, 3-2. And that's dating back to 2019. So, what is that? 5 of the 7 matches have been over 2.5 goals. So at first, the over 2.5 goals is kind of intriguing, and that's plus 105. That was last night. I don't know if it's updated much, but that's interesting. And then you can look at Newcastle, who have actually scored, aside from the most recent match, they've scored 2 goals in every game in the past 6 to 7 matches, and that's Newcastle team total goals. You get over 1.5 at -120. So that's also intriguing, and that's just like, okay, there's going to be goals in this match. Let's think about it. Let's think of all the ways that we can do that. And then, but the one that I'm going to go with is actually both teams to score plus 105. As I read off those scores in the past 7 matches, 6 of those have had where both teams have scored. I'm straying away from the both teams to score, no draw type of deal. I just want to see them both put a goal in the back of the net here, and I think it should happen. Though my one worry is West Ham. They haven't been great from an attacking perspective, but I just think, you know,
Yeah, you went through those stats. You went through the stats.
yeah, yeah.
Newcastle have given
I'm
up
just
5 goals at home, and West Ham have scored 6 away. You're confident in this one?
I mean, like I mentioned in the previous matches here, there's been a lot of goals. So I don't.
Yeah, but
Where's this change? I mean, yes, we can go a little more recent, and maybe it's like we might see less than those from that perspective. But these two teams get together and we see goals, so it's more of a historical basis
all right,
than
I'll let you have it. I'll let you have it.
so. I mean, but yeah, Rudy, you could talk your way out of it too. But I
Yeah.
think, yeah, if you don't like the both teams to score, I offered two other bets that are, I think, just as good, and that's the over 2.5, which was plus 105. So then you don't have to depend on West Ham to score. You can depend on Newcastle bagging 3 goals.
Would
Although
you I guess you're going both teams to score. I was gonna ask if you'd like Newcastle to win with a clean sheet at all, but
I would say no, considering I got
considering your
both
bet.
teams to score plus 105. The one that's not showing on the screen right now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, and then like I said, the Newcastle team, I would take the team goals over 1.5.
I like that one though. I like
Yeah,
that
so
one.
then you don't have to depend on the clean sheet, but you could at least depend on them getting 2 goals, which isn't out of the realm of possibilities. So, yeah, there's 3 bets right there. The one on the screen, the one that I'm riding with, is the both teams to score plus 105.
Yeah, West Ham. I kind of said it about Southampton. West Ham are kind of, I mean, both teams are battling near the bottom of the table, but David Moyes is trying to tweak things. He's played with 3 center backs the last couple matches, and that's resulted in some injuries. So Kurt Zuma has a new injury. He's always injured. I think they only have 3 healthy center backs, depending if you want to say Ben Johnson's a center back. But Craig Dawson is now somewhere else. I think he's Wolverhampton, I want to say. Craig Dawson's gone. So they're pretty thin on the back line. They've been bad away from home all season. Newcastle, kind of a team like Brentford, who first halves, maybe full games even, they're kind of just dominant. They kind of just like put their foot on the opponent's throat early, and they don't release it in their home games. And that's kind of what my bet is based off of. Corners and wagers here. So we got Newcastle. I'll explain this one here. I think I had something similar to this before, but we got minus 1.25 corners in the first half. That's minus 110. So Newcastle, I think similar situation to the Brentford game. I think they're gonna be on the front foot early. They're gonna get there's early corners, and so for this bet minus 1.25. If Newcastle have 1 corner more than West Ham in the first half, this bet is a push. But if they have 2 or more corners in West Ham, you win this bet. So that's kind of what it means. If it was minus 1.5, the 1 corner would not be a push. So last night when I looked at the odds, it was -1 at minus 130 odds. So I assumed more people were betting on this bet, and it moved it to like minus 140. To that point, these odds are from DraftKings. They moved it to minus 1.25, and that's where this bet is coming from. So there you
Interesting.
go. What do you think about it?
I
2
think we're on a
back-to-back first half corner bets here.
Yeah. Well, not only are we on back-to-back corner bets, but we're on back-to-back first half corner bets. So there's layers to this. There's it's you're doing the hard yards for our listeners here. You're not thinking about the whole game. You're just really honing in on one
There's a
particular aspect.
chance there may be some more first half corner bets.
Okay, well,
I remember correctly.
I mean, without further ado, then let's get into it.
All right, so we got Tottenham home against Manchester City. Tottenham plus 340 to win. Manchester City minus 140. The draw is plus 310. And looking at those odds, it's been kind of up and down. Nothing has really changed, even though these teams, we just talked about this match uh, in the reverse, that 4-2 result. I don't think either of us got the bet there. I can't remember though.
Which game?
But yeah,
4-2 result. I think I
yeah.
think I missed on that.
Okay. Yeah, I probably took a corner bet in that one as well. But they're expecting goals as usual. Over 2.5 is minus 160. Over 3.5 is plus 150. If you're thinking under 2.5 is plus 125. Seems like a tough number to take, but so the first meeting, 2 weeks ago, Tottenham went up a couple goals, I believe, right at the end of the first half. Then Manchester City stopped messing around and they scored 4 goals in the second half. How do you
They were
think this
just
goes down in Tottenham?
It was classic City fashion. They were just playing with their food a little bit. Cutting it up, making it look cool. Maybe moving the peas around the plate, and then Tottenham all of a sudden up 2 goals, and then no, I guess we're
Moving the
Manchester City.
peas around the plate.
Let's put 4 goals up in the second half and get away with our 3 points. But yeah, interesting to hear because Tottenham won both of these matches last year, so it's like I was peeking around pretty much all over for Man City odds where I could take them in something that I felt confident in, and the odds were good enough for me to take. But like their City are always just such high favorites that it's tough to find the specific bets that you want. So I honestly couldn't find them, even though I think they have a good chance to win this or to do well. But all that said, I was looking at looking at the previous matches, and in the past 11 matches, the home team has won 9 times, drawn once, and lost once. So Tottenham playing at home here, you're thinking, should I take them? Then I looked even further back. In 3 of the last 14 matches, only 3 times in the last 14 matches has the away team actually won. Otherwise, it's all the home team or a draw. So that being said, the only place I'm getting good odds is for Tottenham somehow at home are their double chance, which is win or draw, is plus 110. I'm not particularly confident in Tottenham, but just looking at the amount of times that the home team has at least taken a point off this matchup, it's like you might as well. Even though, like at first, I'm like, I look at this match, I'm thinking Man City all the way, but I couldn't find anything from a City perspective that was like, all right, this is a good bet. Let's ride with this one. So I'm just gonna go back to the what the numbers are telling me.
Yeah.
Do you feel differently about this? Mean, I really want to find ways to take City, but it was tough digging into those.
This one probably took the longest for me to
Yeah.
figure out to find what I actually wanted to do. I think at this point I was already sold on having 4 corner bets in this show. Uh, so I went to there. But
Fair.
did you look at the goal scoring odds at all? Like, did you look at Kane plus 160, Son plus
Yeah.
320? Like, those aren't terrible if you
Yeah.
think Tottenham can score. So
I did peek at those too because I was trying to look at like a Holland bet maybe, but there was nothing. It didn't necessarily like pop out to me as a better bet than this double chance.
like Kane to have 2 or more shots on target plus 175 as well. I mean, you have stuff like that. Really, when you're looking at shots and stuff, it's not. You can't find good odds for Manchester City really ever. De Bruyne assist is plus 175. So I mean, you could take a route. Would you? What about like over 3.5, over 4.5? Just thinking a lot of goals, or let's just look at these teams here. So Cancelo's gone for Manchester City. How do you
That's a
think?
crazy move, by the way.
Yeah, how do you think? Like Manchester City have been kind of up and down. They haven't really looked, I don't know, at dominant form really since the World Cup break. And I know they just beat Arsenal, but I mean that was a cup match where I don't think either team had their full strength squads in there. Even in that match, still wasn't like they dominated Arsenal. It's a pretty even game. Um,
I
but what do
mean,
you think of just like they haven't had much success in this certain matchup in recent seasons. And I wouldn't say they're actually playing that well. And then Tottenham adds some pieces, but I think the most important part, so Bentancur returned from his injury. The first game he returned from his injury was that Manchester City game that happened 2 weeks ago. So maybe he's a little more fit. So maybe Tottenham a little more full strength. We could see Pedro Porro in the starting 11 for them instead of Emerson. That would be pretty interesting. But Like, do you think with the way Manchester City are playing that I don't know what I'm trying to get at, but it just doesn't feel like Manchester City are, 100% awesome at their full level right now. So that's kind of why I'd rather bet on Tottenham, which is what you're doing. I guess that's kind of what your thought
Well,
is, which is why you're
my
betting that.
my thought is I just couldn't find a good bet on Man City. Um,
Yeah.
that's really it. But yeah, I mean, I think the Cancelo move was particularly interesting because like he's seen as one of the in the Premier League one of the best outside backs. So Pep must have, I don't know whether it was personal, whether it was like a professional thing where he didn't maybe love living in Manchester. I don't know. That was a really weird move for me, just considering his quality. And then they must have a lot of belief in Rico Lewis, but that one was weird. And then yeah, I mean they're coming off that 1-0 victory over Arsenal, which is that's a big win. Even I mean there was a couple players missing from each starting 11 that would typically start. But outside of that, like they're pretty full strength sides. I think City sat Ederson, which was really the most noteworthy for them. But otherwise, Holland started, Kevin De Bruyne started, all of them started. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Tottenham getting Bentancur back is big, especially in that battle of the midfield where it's like City are going to probably try to outpossess them for a while. But yeah, in Tottenham we have the full. We got Kane, Kulusevski, and Son up top, and then yeah. So this is probably their Tottenham's full strength lineup.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean slight worries about City, but every time I start to worry about them, then they start winning games. So uh, I, I just think I would stray away from money line, but yeah, I don't know. I'm on the double chance for a reason, and that's just looking at the way the home teams have performed in the past.
Yeah, so for my bet, another corner bet, another first half corner bet. Uh, I had this one is kind of difficult. So the last match they played, I think Manchester City had 7 corners in the first half. But Tottenham are home and pretty much full strength, as Chris just said. I was considering the over 4.5 in the first half, but I mean there are parts of this to Manchester City being away to where I I feel a little more comfortable with that. With this one, it is minus 130, so not the best odds, but uh, again, I looked a long time, probably too long, to figure out what I wanted to do with this one. But we got Tottenham +1 corners in the first half. That's minus 130. I think it just goes back to what we were saying. I don't think Manchester City are just like a team that's in the first half, they come out just like full on just smashing teams kind of a thing. And I know how this match is going to go. Manchester City are going to have a ton of possession, but is that going to result in corners away from home in this matchup? I don't think so. A couple weeks ago, Tottenham were home to Arsenal. I think they gave up an early goal. They kind of got dominated, lost that one 2-0. In that first half, Tottenham had 4 corners to 3 for Arsenal. Again, that's just a random result. Doesn't really mean anything, but kind of stood out to me. And I think that's something that can happen here because Tottenham are home. They will get opportunities in the first half off the counter. And a lot of times that's a deflection from the goalie. That's a deflection from someone, results in a corner. So let's take this one. Tottenham +1 corners in the first half at minus 130. So there you go. I think that's the longest we've talked about one game this season. Do you have any other thoughts on it?
I'm pumped that it's the late game on Sunday because then I can watch it. It's 8:30 a.m. my time, and yeah, looking forward to pulling up the couch, sitting on that, and watching this game because it seems like it's always pretty electric.
Yeah, will be fun. We have a double game week in case you play fantasy sports. We got a double game week. Manchester United and Leeds United play Wednesday, I want to say. So we got 11 games technically, but yeah, that Tottenham Manchester City game is the final one of the weekend. So as you can see here, I got the cheat sheet pulled up. If you have questions about how to get that cheat sheet, just ask us on Twitter. We'll tell you, or I'll tell you right now. RotoWire.com/soccer trial, free 2-day trial, and you can get that. But here are the odds for the other matches. Brighton are the biggest favorite. They're home against Bournemouth. So our team parlay here. I'm a I'm what am I trying to say? I don't know. Our team parlay is won 4 straight, up $662 on $100 bets. And we got a special one. We got a special one for this Wolverhampton Liverpool match. We got Liverpool, we can see on this sheet, 50% chance to win at Wolverhampton. And Wolverhampton are down here 25% chance. Chris, this is your team, Liverpool. You went against them 2 weeks ago. And it hit. I believe it might have been that Brighton match. I can't even remember. But so, what are your thoughts on Liverpool right now, coming out of the cup, coming out of the transfer market? What are your thoughts on Liverpool right now? Of note, Nunez is healthy. I think he's going to start this one. So, away to Wolverhampton. What do you got?
Yeah, got a lot of thoughts on this particular this club, Liverpool Football Club. They're just struggling. It's from going back from last season where they're playing max games, they're competing on all fronts, they're in 3 different cup finals, to this year where it's like, oh, we're heading to Wolves, we might drop the points here again. That's kind of where I'm at. So that said, I mean, it does help that Nunez is back. Cody Gakpo has not been really. He hasn't impressed me at all since coming over. He's been honestly pretty. He's adjusting. Let's just say that. So I wouldn't mind seeing him drop back to the bench. The only intriguing thing for me about Liverpool right now is they've because their midfield is such trash. It's so the depth is trash. There's a couple good players in there, but had to play Stefan Bacic, I think, in as a Fabinho kind of type of role as a holding midfield, and so that it's play the young players if you're going to be garbage in the middle. So that's been interesting, but yeah, I think they'll probably go. I mean, we have Nunez, Salah, and Gakpo in attack. I wouldn't mind Gakpo maybe coming off the bench or something like that. But yeah, other than that, going to Wolves is never easy for most teams, and I don't feel confident in Liverpool. So I'm totally straying away from that one. And for this parlay, I'm just it's been a little bit varied in terms of results, but they played a few matches. The most recent one was a 1-0 in the FA Cup. That was a replay from a 2-2 match that they barely got away with. So I do think that the Wolves are probably going to pack it in here. And you said that they added Craig Dawson, which is an interesting add, but he really fits their defensive profile.
Yeah.
Just a big center back, gonna win it, balls out of the air. Maybe not distribute the ball super well, but yeah. So, anyways, all that to say, Liverpool are not scoring a ton of goals. They had the attacks looked like a shell of itself. So I'm gonna go under 2.5 goals, plus 100. It was plus 100 last night. I don't know if that's changed at all, but that's what I got to go with this week. And yeah, no confidence at all in this team.
Are you worried at all that Konate's out, so their defense will have probably Gomez and Matip back there at center back?
Adam, absolutely, I'm worried about that. Joe Gomez, whenever we can sell him, let's do it. I love Joe Gomez. He was a part of that title-winning team. Him and Van Dijk were immaculate in the back line. But since then, he's only gone downhill. So, yeah, I don't know. Definitely some worries. Hopefully, Big Joel Matip can pull together, but my confidence is extremely low. And I was on Twitter. There were some shouts of putting Trent Alexander-Arnold in the midfield. It's like, wow, we're really getting close to rock bottom right here for us. So.
All right, let me put this on the screen here. I got another corners bet. What do you know? So yeah, I was between this one. So I got Wolves, Liverpool under 4.5 corners in the first half. That's minus 120, combined with Chris's under 2.5 goals at plus 110. I did this on DraftKings as a same game parlay. It's plus 265 odds. So there you go. Taking that match. My other consideration was Wolverhampton plus half of a corner in the first half, because I think that, like we mentioned, the midfield problems, we mentioned the center backs. I think Wolves are eventually going to come around under Lopetegui. They have been playing slightly better than they did earlier in the season, though it hasn't really led to positive results. I think their last league game was against Manchester City, so hard to kind of look at that one. But they added some guys, as you can see in the projected 11. Like we could see Sarabia start, we could see Matheus Cunha start, we could see Mario Lemina start, and then they added, as you said, Craig Dawson, Joao Gomez, some guy from Flamengo. Never seen him play, but supposed to be a good central midfielder. So we got a transformation, I'll say, for Wolverhampton, and then you combine that with just Liverpool's struggles and injuries, and
No reinforcements at all. I mean,
right.
except for Gakpo, but
I think the like a double chance for Wolverhampton. I think both of
yeah,
us would like that one.
yep.
I'm unsure on the odds,
I think
but
they're minus 110 plus half goal. I don't know what I don't know. I didn't see what the double chance was. It looks like they are.
yeah, minus 110. So
Yeah, so same thing there. If you like that, go with that. They're playing at home, as we know. So
yeah, yeah, but I just think it's going to be like the past, I don't know, month of Liverpool games have been kind of ugly. This isn't the same Liverpool team that's kind of they're getting a ton of opportunities. They're attacking a bunch. They're dominating the midfield or something. Like Fabinho comes in there and he's almost incompetent. That's why
insane.
that's why he's not starting anymore.
Yeah,
So and then you throw that without Wolves play, and I just think it's just going to be a kind of I don't think much is going to happen in the first half. If
yeah,
anything, I think Wolves might get more corners. So there you
yeah.
go.
The attack is inept. The midfield has no muscle, no engine, and the defense they got no Van Dyke, no Kanate. So yeah, tough to feel good. But yeah, I'm gonna go for a long walk.
All right, so that's all we got here. So we got Brentford, Southampton. We
Any other
got.
matches you're looking forward to? I mean, we got a few. We got some good ones here, but
I'm looking forward to all of them. That's how I live.
yeah,
I
we
still
got a
got to write
replay.
my betting article. Once that if you're looking for more bets, I will have all completely new bets on my article. But as I said, like this is a smash spot for Brighton home against Bournemouth. That's
Mhm.
one to consider. Um, may consider like the under in this Manchester United Crystal Palace match. Be interesting to see what Everton Sean Dyche look like. I assume they're just gonna just roll with the 4-4-2, the classic Sean Dyche. Immediately plug Dwight McNeil,
Yep.
former friends at Burnley. I figure that will happen. So I don't know. Does anything else stand out to you? There's not like big matchups or anything, but I mean Villa against Leicester, Forest against Leeds, like some intriguing things. I think that, but nothing big. I guess Chelsea are home against Fulham on Friday, so Chelsea are getting some guys back from injury, and they're also getting some guys in the transfer market. We'll see what that starting 11 looks like. I think that's going to be Graham Potter's going to have a decision to make basically every game for Chelsea starting 11. So that one will be fun.
And your Graham Potter, you feel both confidence and maybe some fear. They've just like sunk 500 million pounds into the
Yeah.
squad you've joined. It's
If
like
Chelsea, if they don't finish top 4, top 6, like he's going to be gone because they spent so much money, right?
yeah, right. Todd Bowley has loads of cash apparently, but yeah, this one will be interesting, especially like I mean Fulham playing probably what most people would say above grade, above what we expected. Chelsea have like brought in what 5 players this window, 4 players. I don't know, Betishell, Mudrik, and then they brought in
Enzo.
that outside back. Yeah, and they
I mean, I
sold.
think it's been 6 players actually.
Wow, yeah. So
There's a
anyway,
couple like guys from Lyon that just I don't think are going to get time, but
yeah,
we'll see if they get time. Um,
this is aside from this match is in the perfect time window for a Friday afternoon. Maybe finishing up the day of work. Pop this one on in the background. Grab a pint.
yeah, Potter had his press conference earlier today, and Chilwell, Reece James, Sterling all will be options. So you throw that into the mix with, well, Joao Felix is still suspended, but he won't be suspended after this game. Mudryk, Enzo Fernandez. So you have all these guys that Potter basically has 20 guys, more than 20 guys who could start on most other teams in the league. And if they don't start winning games, he's unfortunately going to be gone, because when you spend this much money, you got to win. So
I think those are the rules. Yeah, they're gonna.
we also ignored the Ziyech situation where
Yeah,
I don't know how much of this is true, but they tried 3 times to get him to PSG, and they had like incorrect paperwork, didn't submit on time. So Ziyech is still there, so that adds to it. It's like, what's going on?
yeah, their forward depth chart is crazy. Kai Havertz, Ziyech, Joao Felix, Raheem Sterling, Aubameyang. Like, is Aubameyang even gonna make the match day squad? Like, does he get left?
No, he's not.
And then David Fofana, and then
I'm
even
surprised he's still on the team, actually.
yeah, even outside of that, they have Mason. Then you go midfield Mason Mount and Enzo Fernandez. We're just forgetting about that basically. But Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Mudryk, Lewis. Yeah, it's Connor Gallagher. Like, is he going to see the light of day anymore? I'm
Probably not.
the Connor Gallagher project is just so disappointing for me because he was so fun to watch at Palace. Like, he'd press the heck out of any team, and he just like transformed that Palace team, I thought, and he just like not even seeing significant minutes at Chelsea after such an awesome.
I mean, there was rumors of him actually signing at Palace, but I guess that just didn't happen. So
yeah, I hope he gets a move in the summer, but that's just me.
all right, that's all we got. If you didn't hear our bets, well, you're gonna have to listen to the show again. So there you go. But you can find Chris at CHROwen8 on Twitter. I'm at RotoZdroik. Good luck on your bets. Have fun watching the Premier League this weekend. Also Friday with that Chelsea match. That one might be the most intriguing, just to see what their lineup actually looks like, because that's the question on everyone's mind at this point following their transfers. But Chris, I think you've had a few plus weeks in a row, and I got to get back there. But we're going for 5 straight with our team parlay. So
we are. The parlay is back up big, up $600 on a few here, and there's 4 straight. So if you believe in us, maybe that's the place to go.
I smell 5 straight, but
I'm hoping
good
so.
Good luck on your bets. We'll see everyone next week. If you want DFS content, we will have some videos ahead of the matches this weekend as well. But see everyone next week. This has been Kits and Wagers. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Adam.